At some point in time, I offhandedly told Rodney, "Oh, by the way, I named a ship after you." Like I said, there were three ships named after Rodney, and there was also a car named after my mother, Rosalie, and also a galleon that turned on its side, the Rose, or Rosalie. There was also a ship named the Rosella, and also, I believe, the Law or something like that, L.A. or something like that. Like I said, my sister was basically my secretary and was an amazing, wonderful person, and actually played a part in films and other things up to a point in like 1890 or 19 something. She was fairly famous, and I was responsible for a couple of theaters being built in Santa Barbara, as well as some other stuff and a lot of Hollywood stuff, until the point in time of drugs and other things, and also like Las Vegas, basically. And then it becomes a nightmare and basically else. But basically, Rosella was a very important part of existence, as well as she played a very big role in a lot of different things, doing what I wanted done, basically, or something like that. I'm not exactly sure. Exactly. Like I say, all all the different delegates from around the world, kings, queens, and other people did come to Santa Barbara to see my actors, as well as to see the place where I would eventually be born and come into existence as Brian here in Santa Barbara. So, and there's quite a few theaters and other things that were built in Santa Barbara, that the actors did do and stuff like that, because well, it was my money, or at least I was paying them so well that they did a lot of things for me. And everything went along just fine until about 1890 or 1930 or so, or 1940. It's hard to say exactly when things started going to complete and total hell, basically. Pretty much JFK was a plague onto this world. That was a nightmare. And also, of course, Abraham Lincoln and everything he did by trying to say that he was adopting me. But like I say, the Chinese saw what was happening and knew what was happening, and had marksmen, and were dealing with basically the Abraham Lincoln problem. And of course, Abraham Lincoln and both Nixon would basically claim that the Chinese or the Asians were attacking, but they weren't actually really attacking exactly. They were just stopping them from doing horrible things, basically. As basically I had basically put them in charge of basically handling the safeguarding the planet, as well as dealing with the LS Empire and stuff like that. Like I said, on my ships, on my steamships, and other places, basically the Asians basically were doing security with the Irish. Like I said, they were working together. It was the Irish, the Asians, and also the German people that were basically doing stuff. The German people were very good at metallurgy and other sciences, and the Irish were very good at building and constructing, and also working very hard. Like I said, the Irish are amazingly hard workers, and so were the Chinese, so, or Asian people, basically. Very good groups, like I said, some of the best groups in the world, basically. And anyway, so, and also Russians as well, and you'd have to talk to Putin to see exactly what Russia's past is. But anyway, though, I kind of had like more of a hands-off approach, and like I say, it's very hard for someone like me, because I'm epic creator of basically of all these life form types, endoskeletons, exoskeletons, and everything else. And so basically, you're all my people. So it's very hard for me to stay on the middle ground and say, well, blah, blah. And also, I'm responsible for some of the things like the Crusades and other stuff like that. Well, kind of semi-responsible for, but not exactly, as, again, there's people there and free will and free choice and all that other stuff. And so it gets kind of confusing, kind of rocky, and kind of like weird, where you're just going to have to talk to people like the Chinese and what's it called. I used to remember, but I don't remember anymore. Like I say, I died from the point of 1917, and I also died in 1850. So, and it becomes a nightmare. But then again, I was found again and basically saved. So, anyway, and then there's Brian, of course. Anyway, at some point in time, the power or whatever would go to Rodney's head, and he would get very confused about things, I guess. I don't really know. Like I say, that with 800 galaxies and basically whole lifeline types, as I created the endoskeletons and all human life form types and all endoskeleton life form types, it gets to be a little bit psycho and crazy because you have 800 galaxies and one me and basically a pulling force and basically epic amount of technology and whatever, as eventually everyone would find out how involved I was with everything, basically. So that's why I told Karen and other groups to probably stay away from me and to be very, 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 very careful what they do and not to lie or anything else like that, because there are serious forces involved, as in 800 galaxies and basically billions of years of technology worth of invention. I mean, these life form types would eventually have a lot of technology and power, and there's just one me. So, like I said, there is no getting away from my life forms. There's no possibility that people do not know about me, and there's no possibility that they're not watching me every single second of my existence, not to mention right now. So, like I say, it goes beyond everything else, and I just got used to it. That's why I don't really worry about what I say or what I do or what I look like, because it's like, well, they're gonna find out, they're gonna know, and because they're gonna find me. And they found me even before I said even a word. They found me when I was like 9 years old. So anyway, or 6 years old. They've always known. I mean, there's 800 galaxies of life forms out there, and I created. I did the genetics for the horses and the humans, and the endoskeletons and the 1.5s and everything, and like 5 or 10 or 100 plants. So it's like, I designed the Spanish language and a couple other languages. I don't know how many languages. I used to know every language, because I spent that time with those life forms. I even knew the languages of the Aston form life forms. I could talk to them. So stuff, and because I had raised them up and actually been with them. So, and that's why, as my previous forms, I was able to communicate with so many different life forms, because I literally had spent thousands of years with them. So, or hundreds anyway. So anyway, yeah, I was very involved with everything. So anyway, I remember that, and I had never actually been a person before, Brian. So anyway, but now I am, and I can finally tell you. And that was the problem too, is because I had never been a person before, and I hadn't actually told you physically like this. There's a very big debate as far as what I look like and who I actually was. That's why it also says in the Bible that I would actually be among you as a person. This person, me, Brian. So, not Jesus, not anything else, but Brian, Lucifer Star, basically. So, anyway, yeah. And a lot of people wanted that to not happen. They wanted me to never make these videos. They wanted you to never know about me. And they wanted to call me crazy and lock me up and lobotomize me. And they actually did at some point in time and space. Anyway, whatever. It doesn't really matter, but yes. For the most part, you get lots of records and lots of maps and lots of photographs of the past and everything else. So, anyway, oh well. Like I said, my life forms used to actually kind of fight over spending time with me, too. It was kind of cute. But anyway, whatever. So anyway, eventually they found out and knew about me. They've known about me for hundreds of millions of years, trillions of years. I remember when only 20 trillion years had passed. So anyway, it's been a long, long, long time. So anyway, whatever. Doesn't really matter. But anyway, and it'll take you hundreds of thousands of millions of years to figure out everything that had happened. And why I exist as Brian and Lucifer Star and everything else. And how I'm the creator of so many galaxies and so many life forms.